I think there are several of these bottom-up ideas that are looking very interesting. We've been extremely positive, on this whole power sector chain or power sector theme, which starts right from the electric sort of utilities, but then the equipment suppliers, and then the financiers and the whole solar equipment chain. So there is a whole bunch of stocks and subsectors that fall within that theme, and that theme is also seeing a positive trigger in the form of the power sector demand going up. And my sense is that the El Nino, which is, while it's going to be a bigger concern from a macro standpoint, but that's a huge positive for power sector demand. And therefore, I feel that this whole power sector chain, which has already done well on the markets, but I think it can continue to do well even from here on for the rest of the year. And I do see a possibility of power demand actually surprising on the positive side. And while the current numbers that people are expecting are maybe like 5 to 6% demand growth for this year, but could be much higher than that. So that is definitely one space, and which has a lot of large caps, but several of the mid caps and small cap ideas as well coming in from this theme. And as I said, the other theme that one should be focusing on is this whole hard asset as the theme, which is also to some extent a global theme as well, because in the environment where the global inflation, the inflation in India is likely to go up from where we are, that is also considered to be a great news for some of these hard assets. Because, and when I say hard assets, apart from the power theme, I mean there are players like the ports, the airports, I would say even real estate for that matter, hospitals. Those are the kind of names where the businesses are built around large physical assets, and some of those stocks and sectors should also be doing quite well.
Mahesh, the other standout, but actually, okay, no, let me not talk about the other theme. I just want to probe you a little bit on the power thing, the energy thing. Now, it's a very wide ecosystem, right? There are power producers, there are ancillary suppliers, there are green energy companies, there are transmission and distribution companies. Multiple ways to play this. Which is the best way to play it? Because not everybody's got the capital to, like a mutual fund, to distribute amongst 10 names. So what's the best, where is the best bang for the buck?
Yeah, I mean, so as I mentioned, I like this whole chain. So to be honest with you, I would be positive on, see, basically, if even if you put all of these subsectors put together, this is actually not more than 5 to 6%, of the index, right? So while there are lots of stocks and subsectors there, to be fair, but I think if you look at on a cumulative basis, it's still, from the benchmark indices perspective, not more than 5 6%, of the benchmark weight. So in that sense, it is actually possible to be positioned in maybe all of these subsectors. But if you'll ask me, what is it that is looking, particularly attractive? I would say power utilities, or the generating companies, where the valuations are actually pretty reasonable. In certain cases, I mean, there are certain stocks trading at about 12 to 15 times on 1 year forward EV by EBITDA basis. These I'm talking about the power utility companies, power generating ideas. Most of these are like solar based power generation. There are some of the names in the same space which have got re-rated towards 18 times to 20 times on 1 year forward EV by EBITDA. So not as cheap as it used to be, but I think given what I mentioned, I'm expecting the power demand growth to surprise on the positive. So even those look good. So that is one subsector, the power generating companies, the IPPs, or the utilities as we call it. I would also say the utilities belonging to the transmission sector, and the distribution sector as well. Now, the equipment suppliers, well, that has been an extremely strong theme in the last 6 months, and many of the stocks have done very well. Probably they feature among the best performing stocks year to date. But the valuations in many of these names have gone up to like 50 times, 60 times, 70 times already. So I would basically maybe look to kind of take a step back on those. But then, the other names, the whole solar equipment manufacturing, that's also a chain by the. There are also several stocks there. And I think given the fact that The government is clearly trying to focus on domestically generated sources of energies and giving an impetus to the local manufacturing sector. I think the solar equipment chain as a whole also looks very interesting.